There is a great article we're going to share with you from the Babylon Bee, letting you know key points, 10 of them, how you know you're in a Hamas hospital in Gaza. I got a good one for you. These days, it's hard to tell if the hospital that you are taking over is also a staging ground for terrorists. The Babylon Bee, one of my all-time favorites, has put out an article that I'm going to put up on the screen, and we need to look at it so we can help Israel and the United Nations to know if these hospitals that the IDF is conquering in Gaza really are affiliated with Hamas. Here's the list. So, number one, you can tell if the hospital you've just taken over is a Hamas terror group sponsored facility if one, the doctors break out in cheers when someone dies. That's kind of a Hamas thing, right? They celebrate death, not life. Number two, you can tell it's a Hamas facility if the ambulance has a 50 caliber machine gun mounted on the top, right? You can clear traffic that way.
Right.
And they will use the machine gun.
Yeah. Wow.
I love this one. The hospital offers to waive your bill if you strap on this cool vest. Now, you know as well as I do, it's a suicide vest, and you get free medical care if you then go blow yourself up and kill some Jews. I love this one. The gift shop sells, quote, "I'm sorry you've been taken hostage," unquote, balloons. So you can, visit the hostages with a nice present.
Wow. And then there's that one, the sound of small arm fire keeps coming from the cancer ward. Really?
That's
really?
a good one too. Look at this one. Number 6. You get lost on the way to the cafeteria and you ended up in the underground tunnel filled with rocket launchers. Not good, but true. Or the pediatric unit is labeled the, quote, human shield ward. Kind of smacks of terrorism because that's what they do.
Yeah.
How about number 8? The intake nurse checks your temperature, your pulse, and your circumcision status.
Number 9. I mean,
no
number 9. The surgical assistant is a goat
with a Hamas green headband. And here's the dead giveaway at Shifa Hospital. None of the doctors are Jewish. That's a dead giveaway.
Yeah, and exactly. And then Barry, the one that's not on the list should be number 11, when they're shooting from a window.
In the hospital.
In the hospital. Yeah, when they're shooting from the window, in the hospital of the window at the Israeli soldiers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, they've been doing that for a week.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to care.
There's a lot of people on Twitter X that is completely anti-Semitic. But you know, it's not just Twitter X, Barry. It's on Facebook. It's on YouTube. I'm seeing it all over the place. And one person put a video on there, Barry, showing a window of a hospital where bullets were hitting around the window, and stuff. And they said, "Oh, look, the Israeli soldiers just shooting at the hospital just to be shooting at it." I said, "Well, no. Maybe Hamas shouldn't be shooting from the window if you don't want them to shoot at the window." It's like a no-brainer, but there's like this disconnect. They can't put 2 and 2 together to realize that the Israeli soldiers are not just shooting at the hospital to be shooting at it because they don't have nothing else to shoot. There's plenty of Hamas to shoot at.
Well, just to be clear, under international law, under the Geneva Conventions, it's a war crime to hide ammunition or any war-making material in a hospital.
Except for when it comes to Hamas.
Number 2, it's a double war crime if you shoot from that facility.
Unless you're Hamas.
And number 3, if there are civilians in the hospital that you're behind when you're shooting outside, that's a triple war crime.
Unless you're Hamas.
Exactly. And that makes the hospital a legitimate target.
Yeah, it really does.
They ought to blow it up. and drop it into the hole underneath it, which we're going to talk about today, where the hundreds of miles of tunnels from.
Barry, you're talking about what goes against the Geneva Convention, what is a war crime for them to actually do these things. But what a lot of people don't recognize is that the bad guys, Barry, they don't play by the same rules. And you hear all these people marching out in the streets talking about ceasefire for Israel, but they don't talk about ceasefire for Hamas, right? And now apparently they're getting a ceasefire starting tomorrow or something like that, right? For a day of 10 people per day or something.
Yep.
Well, but the thing is, the bad guys, they don't play by the same rules. The good guys, they play by the same rules. That's why it's easy for them to go to MAGA Republicans, to go to the Israel, to go to Republicans, to get them to go by the rules, because they know that they play by the rules, but the bad guys don't.
Well, sadly, you and I get it. People with two brain cells, like in the White House, John Kirby is getting it every day. He's talking about it. Even the president of the United States gets it, but the world press doesn't. With few exceptions, nobody's talking about it. It's really sad.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I personally don't think that Kirby gets it. I don't think that Joe Biden gets it, because most of the reason why we're in this predicament is because of their actions or their inactions. They allowed Iran to fund these terrorist organizations to attack Israel. We send them $6.6 billion. They attack Israel. Now we're sending them another $10 billion. The only thing that they get is the conflict. They want the conflict, Barry. Joe Biden, and look, there's no way that Joe Biden can stop what's getting ready to happen in 2024. He can't stop it, right? But they would, if they could do something to have total destruction to happen in the United States of America, they can prevent a certain event from taking place in next November, if you know what I'm talking about. But constitutionally, they can't prevent it. So the only thing that I'm seeing that they're trying to do is cause enough chaos to where it will prevent people from being able to exercise their civil liberties.
Very well could be.